Hi everyone, today we're going to be discussing how to prepare for the fall and spring career fairs. Alright, so first we're going to start off with some logistical information. In the fall, Manhattan College traditionally holds two career fairs, the first being our STEM fair, which caters to the engineering and science schools, and the second being our general fall career fair, which caters to the School of Business, Liberal Arts, Health, and Education. I strongly recommend checking the official Center for Career Development website to see the official dates and times of these events. However, generally, the STEM fair takes place the end of September and the fall fair in the first week of October. These are typically held on Tuesdays between 12 and 4 p.m. and are located on the 4th and 5th floors of Kelly Commons. For the fall career fairs, we generally have anywhere from 50 to 60 employers, and these employers are looking for both internship and full-time positions. In the spring, Manhattan College holds one general career fair that's open to all schools and all majors. Similarly, this is typically held on Tuesdays between 12 and 4 p.m. in Kelly Commons on the 5th floor. Once again, these employers are looking for both internships and full-time positions, and generally we have anywhere between 40 and 50 employers at this fair. All right, so what are some general things to expect when attending a career fair, right? Whether this is your first career fair or not, it's always a good idea to assess what the environment is going to be like before actually setting foot in there and coming up with some kind of a game plan, okay? So first, there are going to be tables and representatives from each and every company. And many of these representatives are also college alumni. That will be indicated on their name badge. They will have an indication that says Manhattan College alumni, right? And this is a great thing because right off the bat, you have a commonality with that person and something to bring up in a point of discussion. Another thing that you may anticipate are lines to speak with representatives. A lot of students are going to want to speak to some of the same companies that you do, so you may have to wait in line. While you're waiting in line, this is also a good opportunity to come up with some of those questions that, you want to ask the representatives and think about, what you're going to say when they ask you to tell you a little bit more about themselves. Generally speaking as well, it's going to be a little bit chaotic, noisy, crowded. It may be a little bit hot. You may be a little bit uncomfortable, right? But overall, you want to make sure that you are fully prepared to talk about yourself. It's not something that we do very often, right? So you want to make sure that you are fully prepared and rehearsed to talk about yourself in a professional manner. Because at the end of the day, these employers are looking to you not just as a student, but also as a potential, intern, a potential candidate for full-time roles as well, right? So you want to make sure that you're giving your best first impression, both physically and while you're speaking to them. All right, so next, thinking about how to prepare for the career fair, here are some of our recommendations. First, you want to make sure that your resume is up to date and approved by a member of the Center for Career Development. I recommend scheduling an appointment with your respective career counselor to discuss this if you have not already done so. You will also want to print out many hard copies of your resume to be handed out to employers on the day of the fair. Anywhere from 10 to 15 copies will be sufficient for this. So next, it's very important to do a little bit of research on the employers that will be attending the fair so that you can tailor specific questions to ask them. I strongly encourage you to log on to our Handshake platform where you can view all of the employers that will be attending the fair, as well as a direct link to the company's website. These are some really great resources to access when preparing specific questions to ask. I would also recommend that you write down these questions in a notebook or padfolio of some sort to bring with you on the actual day of the fair so that you don't have to commit everything to memory. Additionally, it's really important to ensure that you have a professional outfit picked out ahead of time and that it's not wrinkled or dirty, right? You don't want to be scrambling on the day of the fair to find a professional outfit, so do this ahead of time. Because your physical appearance is one of the first impressions that you make on a potential employer, and you want to ensure that you're putting your best foot forward here. Finally, it's important to craft yourself what we call an elevator pitch that lasts between 30 seconds and a minute, which introduces yourself and summarizes a little bit about your background. Every time you meet a new employer, they will typically ask you something along the lines of, "Oh, tell me a little bit about yourself," or "Describe yourself to me." So knowing this, you can prepare and rehearse your speech ahead of time. All right, so next, thinking about what you're actually going to be doing during the career fair itself. So, first, you want to arrive early if possible. Of course, feel free to come whenever you can if you have class or, other prior engagements. But coming early is really the best bet just because there are not going to be as many students there. Um, you want to make sure that you are confident in yourself and act friendly towards these employers, right? Again, they are viewing you as more than just a student. You want to make sure that you come off in a professional manner, right? Because at the end of the day, they are looking to you as a potential intern and a potential employee, okay? So you want to convey interest in the company and what the representatives have to say. And there are a couple different ways to go about doing this. One is to ask those questions, right? We just discussed brainstorming questions ahead of time, so you want to show that you've done a little bit of that preparation by asking those questions to the employers. There are also going to be a lot of different informational flyers, pamphlets, brochures, right? Business cards, all of that information you want to collect and take with you, right? This is going to help display interest in the company, but it's also going to be helpful for your own knowledge so that you can then reference back to these documents to see what types of positions they have available, where to apply to these positions, and a little bit more to learn a little bit more about the company. You also want to make sure that you take your time with each employer. You don't want to be rushing through a conversation, right? Because you don't have enough time to get to every single person that you allotted for yourself. You want to make sure that you enter with a game plan and stick to that game plan. You also know, right, ahead of time that you may have to wait on lines for some of these employers. So, budget your time accordingly. You also want to make sure that you're actively handing out copies of your resume to every single person that you speak to, okay? Because, they're going to be handing you out some of their information, right? Their business cards, and you want to make sure that you have something to give them in return, right? A most accurate and up-to-date copy of your resume. And another great thing to always do while you're there speaking with a representative is inquire about what the next steps look like in the application process, right? So, whether that's, oh, you need to go to our website and apply on there, or, oh, we have this posting available on Handshake, or, oh, just by submitting your resume to me today, that counts as an application, right? It's good for you to know so that you know what actions you need to follow up on, or so you know what the timeline looks like for yourself, so you know when to then reach out to these people in the future. All right, so thinking about how to follow up after the career fair. This is a really crucial step that many students often forget or neglect to consider when attending the career fair, right? So something that you want to do is utilize the contact information that you've gained from each of these employers, right? That business card information, email information, right? Because you want to follow up with your contacts 1 to 2 days after the career fair. You want to send them some kind of a thank you email, right? So that they, one, remember who you are, and two, know that you're a candidate who takes the time to follow up, right? Erring on that side of professionalism, right? This is really important because at a career fair, these representatives are talking to a lot of students, and you want to make sure that you do whatever you can to stand out in their mind so that they remember you, so that when you apply to these positions, they recognize your name. Okay? Another great way to follow up with these representatives is to connect with them on LinkedIn, right? That's another great place so that they can also see a picture of you, right? They can kind of put the name to the face and get a little bit of a better understanding of you as an applicant, right? Another really important thing to do is take action on any directions that were given to you at the career fair, right? So for example, if they told you to apply to this position on their website or on Handshake, right? Taking that action and then showing them, right, in that thank you email, right, that you've taken that action and have followed through with what it is that they were asking for, right? Because that shows, one, that you're taking this seriously, right? And that you're being professional about the way that you've done it, okay? So hopefully that gives you a better idea of how to follow up after the career fair, right? You want to make sure that you send a thank you email, follow up with these contacts on LinkedIn, and take any direction on the actions given to you, okay? All right, that just about wraps things up for today. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and feel free to reach out to the email below with any additional questions or inquiries.